welcome to MRI TV. This is Pokopoko News. I'm Patrick Sechanzi. Let's first have the headlines. 79 million girls in sub-Saharan Africa raped. Air tax growth demands efficient VAT ports. Russia jails French researcher. Mobile medicine comes to Panama jungle. Boeing showers up finance even as striking workers rally. Lionel Messi hat-trick leads Argentina to 6-0 win. Let's have the news in details. The United Nations Children Agency says 1 in 8 girls and younger women across the world have endured rape and sexual violence, with the highest number of victims recorded in sub-Saharan Africa. Our reporter Nasari Catherine have in details.
The United Nations Children's Agency says 1 in 8 girls and young women across the world have endured rape and sexual violence, with the highest number of victims recorded in sub-Saharan Africa. UNICEF published its first ever global estimate on sexual violence against children, revealing that 79 million girls, 1 in 5 in sub-Saharan countries hit by conflict and insecurity, had experienced sexual assault or rape before turning 18. Globally, UNICEF estimates that sexual violence has affected some 370 million, or 1 in 8 girls and young women. The number rises to 650 million, or 1 in 5, when taking into account non-contact forms of sexual violence such as online or verbal abuse, according to the agency's report published. The report said that while girls and women were worst affected, 240 to 310 million boys and men, or about 1 in 11, have experienced rape or sexual assault during childhood. Numbers were highest in fragile settings, including those with weak institutions where UN peacekeeping forces are present or where there are large numbers of refugees. However, the data showed that sexual violence against children is pervasive, cutting across geographical, cultural, and economic boundaries. Sub-Saharan Africa had the highest number of victims, with 79 million girls and women affected, followed by 75 million in Eastern and Southeastern Asia, 73 million in Central and Southern Asia, 68 million in Europe and North America, 45 million in Latin America and Caribbean, 29 million in Northern America and Western Asia, and 6 million in Oceania. The release of such a figure is a first calculated using national data and international survey programs from 2010 to 2022. Catherine Nasali for MRU TV.
The air tax market is predicted to grow exponentially by the end of the decade, but the experts have warned that its future depends on a well-planned network of VAT ports. Let's have details from our reporter Patrick Sechanzi.
The tax market is predicted to grow to $80.3 billion from the $4.9 billion that it was worth last year, according to the Spherical Insights, a market research firm. This market demand is driven by the need for an alternative mode of transportation and the increasing problem of traffic congestion in many cities. Ahmad Malik, an AI and aerospace expert, told mobility is set to transform our skies, much like how cars revolutionized ground transportation in the 20th century. As this technology matures, we will see a gradual introduction of various flying vehicles, from small delivery drones to larger air taxis and even flying ambulances. Keeping all this traffic safe and conflict-free is going to become a big challenge.
Russian court has sentenced French researcher Laurent Venetia to 3 years in prison after finding him guilty of breaching the country's foreign agent laws. Let's have details from Kamara Godfrey.
Russia jails French researcher Laurent Venetia for 3 years. A Russian court has sentenced the French researcher Laurent Venetia to 3 years in prison after finding him guilty of breaching the country's foreign agent law. Venetia, who works for the Geneva-based Center for Humanitarian Dialogue, was arrested in June amid rising tensions between Moscow and Kyiv's Western allies over Russia's war in Ukraine. The 48-year-old was charged with gathering information on Russia's military without being registered as a foreign agent. In a speech to the court before he was sentenced, Venetia said he loved Russia, apologized for breaking the law, and even recited a verse by Russian poet Alexander Pushkin. Venetia was not allowed to sue the media, but his lawyer Pavel Monville told journalists that they considered the sentence harsh and will definitely appeal. President Emmanuel Macron has denied the Venetia's work for the French state and has described his arrest as the part of misinformation campaign by Moscow.
A team of medical volunteers from around the globe travel to people and place where medicine does not reach. Our reporter Catherine Nassari has them in details.
When Omaira Abrego was 19 years old, her feet started to swell. Soon afterwards, her knees became inflamed, followed by her hands and elbows. Within months, the once healthy young woman with thick black hair and wide brown eyes had become immobile, unable to bend, stand, or lie down. Omaira's parents did not know what to do or where to turn. There are Ngabe Bago, Panama's most impoverished and populous indigenous group, and the family of 8 lives in a wooden hut with a thatched roof made of palm leaves in an isolated village known as Wari, located high in the mountainous rainforest. The nearest hospital is 3 hours away, and to get there, Omaira must be carried in a hammock down slippery, steaming jungle hills, crisscrossing rivers along the way. After multiple visits to the hospital on Panama's Caribbean coast, the Abregos say they reached a point where they didn't have any answers or a diagnosis for Omaira's deteriorating condition. It was then they contacted the floating doctors. The Abregos knew of the floating doctors, a group of mobile volunteer doctors, medical professionals, and students offering healthcare services to rural areas from residents of La Sabana and nearby Ngabe Bago village that is one of 24 communities the organization serves. After a few visits, the organization concluded Omaira likely has juvenile idiopathic arthritis, a rare condition among children that causes inflammation, swelling, pain, and stiffness in joints. On the days of the floating doctors' camp, the young women's parents, siblings, and cousins gather in the family's dimly lit wood-planked home and observe as the volunteers speak with Omaira about how she's feeling and run a series of tests. During their quarterly visits, the floating doctors check Omaira's vitals such as blood pressure, oxygen saturation levels and pulse, listen to her heart and lungs with a stethoscope, and test the flexibility of her joints to monitor if they are improved or tightened since her last checkup. During a visit to her home on a hot, muggy day in June, Omaira complained of gastric pain, rashes on her skin, and an itchy scalp. The floating doctors, volunteers asked her to give detailed descriptions of her symptoms, tested her for lice, and cleaned her infected swollen knees. At the conclusion of the hour-long consultation, the floating doctors gave Omaira paracetamol for joint pain, omeprazole for stomach discomfort, clotrimazole, an antifungal cream to treat an irritated skin, soap, and a large box of rice, as there are limited options for food in their village. Catherine Nassali, MRU TV.
Boeing has announced plans to raise up $25 billion through stock and debt offering and $10 billion credit agreement with major lenders amid a production and regulatory crisis. Let's have details from our reporter IRENE NANTUME.
Boeing shows up finances even as striking workers railed. In a move to shore up its sagging finances, Boeing has announced plans to raise up $25 billion through stock and debt offering and a $10 billion credit agreement with major leaders amid a production and regulatory crisis. Boeing announced its plans on Tuesday. It was clear when and how much the plan maker would eventually raise via the offering, but analysis estimate that Boeing could need to raise somewhere between $10 million and $15 billion to be able to maintain its credit ratings, which are now just one notch above track. The company is grappling with a slim in production of its best-selling 735 MAX jet following a mid-air door plant blowout earliest this year and a strike by thousands of United States union workers since September 13th. Boeing said on Tuesday it had not drawn on the new $10 billion credit facility arranged by Citibank, Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan or its existing revolving credit facility. Boeing will use these funds for general corporate purposes, according to paperwork filed with the U.S. markets regularly on Tuesday. The plan had cash and cash equivalents of $10.85 billion of June 30th. As acting Deputy Secretary of Labor, Julie, with Boeing and the union in settle on Monday in a bid to break the deadlock. U.S. Representative Pamela gave a rousing speech at Raleigh on Tuesday, addressing sharing crown and slimming Boeing for prioritizing executive bonuses and share buybacks over everyday workers' pay. The legislature, whose district includes most of the settlers, could obtain to end the strike. I remain NANTUME IRENE news reporter MRIU.
Let's go into sports. Lionel Messi has scored his 10th international hat-trick and grabbed 2 assists as Argentina thrashed Bolivia 6-0 in South American qualifier for the 2026 World Cup.
The qualifiers for the 2026 World Cup in front of an adoring home crowd at the Monumental Stadium, making only the second international appearance since recovering from an injury sustained at Copa America in July. Messi capitalized on a mistake by Marcelo Suarez to open the scoring in the 19th minute on Tuesday. Bolivia goalkeeper Gurmero Vizcarra made a couple of fine saves to prevent the hosts from extending their lead, but he was beaten in 43rd minute when Lautaro Martinez scored from Messi's quick cross. Argentina made it 3-0 just before the break, with Messi setting up Julian Alvarez to score. Lionel Scaloni's side controlled the second half as well. It looked like they had extended their lead through Nicolas Otamendi, only to see the goal disallowed for the offside. Messi gave Argentina fans more reason to celebrate in a closing moment, beating 2 Bolivia defenders before unleashing a fierce shot past Vizcarra to score his second goal of contest.
Thank you for watching MRIU TV. I'm Patrick Sechans.